You don't live in time. You live in story about time. Past trauma determining present choice, future anxiety governing current actions, yesterday's wound bleeding into today's decision. This isn't time, it's psychological debris pretending to be chronology. Real time doesn't have history, it doesn't have future, it only has presence. But men live in mental time, narrative time, trauma time. They often schedule their days but scatter their presence. They manage calendars but fragment fields. And sometimes they even optimize their hours but don't pay as much attention to their attention. The field doesn't recognize your schedule, it doesn't respect deadlines, and it doesn't really care about time management. The field recognizes three things: cadence, rhythm, and presence. And presence doesn't live in minutes, it lives in moments. The coherent man doesn't manage time, he inhabits rhythm. Not the rhythm of productivity, but of presence. Not of achievement, but of alignment. Not even of schedule, more the rhythm of soul. But modern men have replaced rhythm with routine, cadence with calendar, and presence with productivity. They're always running late, even when they're early. Always behind, even when they're ahead. Always rushing, even when there's nowhere to go. Because they're living in psychological time where the past is always present, where the future is always looming, where now is always elsewhere. The traumatized man lives in the past, the anxious man lives in the future. Only the coherent man lives in the presence, in the now. And presence has its own time, its own physics, its own architecture. In presence, an hour can feel like a moment can feel like eternity. Time becomes elastic, rhythmic, alive. This isn't mystical, it's structural. Some people call this flow. When you're in flow and you're fully present, time has no meaning. But when your field is scattered across time, you're never actually anywhere. When your field is gathered in presence, you're everywhere at once. The man living in field time doesn't rush, not because he has more time, but because he's not fighting time. He's not trying to beat it or control it or manage it. He's moving with it, as it, within it. And this changes everything. Because when you live this way, decisions become obvious, actions become inevitable, movement becomes natural. Because you're not forcing yourself through time, you're flowing with the field's actual rhythm. The field has perfect timing, always, without exception. But you can't feel it when you're living in story, when you're running on trauma time, when you're governed by psychological chronology. When you stop managing time, you start feeling rhythm. If you stop scheduling presence, you start inhabiting the now, the moment. When you stop living in psychological time, you start existing in field time. Because the field doesn't care about your past. It doesn't care about your future. It only responds to your presence right here, right now, in this moment that doesn't need story. Welcome to The Architect Speaks.